Hello everybody, this video is about Ohm's law, which is actually a simple concept, but sometimes can give confusion, mostly because of signs and convention, direction of the current, and polarity of the voltage drop. So the Ohm's law say that the voltage across a resistor is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. So we can say that voltage will increase if the current increase flowing through R. So write this down. We have a resistor, okay, R, and we say that if current flow through it, the voltage difference between these two terminals will increase. Recall that voltage is a difference, so it's a relative magnitude. So we can show this like this. If current go into the resistor, the voltage drop can increase. We will have more volt here than here. Okay? But actually, if we say that we have, on the contrary, more voltage here than here, this statement also will be valid. So we have to choose. You have to choose a convention, and we say from where it comes the current and when we have the increase of current of voltage. So basically, we state this thing: if current go in this direction, I will have an increase of voltage where in the terminal where the current comes in. This translates in the, let's say, if I measure with a multimeter the voltage with this polarity, so the black cable on the minus and the red cable on the plus, I will have an increase of volt. Okay, so from this thing, we can write that with this direction of the current and polarity of the voltage, we can say that V is equal to R times I. Okay, however, if we have another situation in which the resistor is like this, current go in this direction, and we still measure the voltage with this polarity, so we put the black cable of a multimeter here and the plus here, we will see a decrease of the voltage, which is because the effect is opposite to this thing. So our equation will be V equal minus R times I, because V is actually a difference. A difference is not a absolute value, so it's a relative difference between 2 points. Okay, I hope this clarifies the concept. Anyway, let's take an example and see if it's actually the same thing for real. So, for example, we take a common mesh, a voltage divider. Okay, so we write this down, and we try to find, let's calculate the values. So I have a battery that say 9 volt, and I have just two resistors with 1 kilo ohm here and 1 kilo ohm here. And I call this one R2 and this one R1. Let's say that the current go in this direction, I, and I measure my voltage drop like this: plus minus, the black cable here, the red cable here, plus minus. And I know that the solution of this, if I do the meshes, I will have that, let's say that this voltage here is VA, and these two are V1 and V2. With the meshes, I will have that VA, actually minus VA, because I come from this point and I go around the mesh, as I told you in the previous video. So if I do this round, I will have minus VA plus V1 plus V2 equal 0. And then if I have the convention of the Ohm's law with, as previously stated, I will have that V1 is equal R1 times I, and V2 is equal 2 times I. With these three equations, I can define V2 as a function of VA. So I will have, if I solve this, you can take the time, stop the video, I will have V2 equal to R2 divided R1 plus R2 times VA, which in this case is actually 1/2 of 9 volt, which is 4.5 volt. Okay, now let's do the same, but take the current E on the opposite direction and see what happens. See what we have in V2. So we have this voltage source, then a resistor here, again, resistor here. We have 9 volt, and we call this VA R1. We put the sign like this, we measure with our voltmeter with black cable on the minus and red cable on the plus. And now we take I on this direction. We write the mesh. The mesh will be exactly the same than before because the plus and minus sign are in the same direction. So I start from here and I do the mesh on this way. And so I have minus VA as before, minus VA plus V1 plus V2 equal 0. But now I have that V1 is equal to minus R1 times I, and V2 is equal to minus R2 times I, because I'm respecting the previous rule and the convention of the Ohm's law. So now I want to find I, and with these two equations, I will have that I is actually equal to minus VA divided R1 plus R2. This will give me that I is actually 4.5 minus 4.5 milliampere. In the previous case, if you calculate, you will have that I is just plus 4.5 milliampere. So this arrow here is actually giving us the information about the sign. If we put this on this direction, we will have a positive value. If we put the arrow in the opposite direction, the same modulus, but with different sign. The sign just reflects the direction of the arrow. It's relative. So in this case, I also have that V2 now with the convention of Ohm, as stated before, V2 is equal to minus R2 times I, which will be equal to plus R2 divided R1 plus R2 times VA, which is again 4.5 volt, because we still measure the voltage in this sense and we have the same value than before. You can try to switch polarity and solve the same system following all this reasoning with the meshes and the convention of the Ohm's law. You will have exactly the same results. So understand and remember this thing basically. If we have this situation in which the current comes in from the plus, we will have this equation, and if the current comes from the minus, which means that basically we are measuring our voltage with this polarity, then we will have to consider this equality. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I hope this, even if very simple tutorial, can help you better understanding of electronics circuit.